There are versions of yourself that no longer fit the way they used to. Not because something went wrong, not because you failed at keeping them alive, but because they were meant for a different time, and that time has passed. You can feel it in the way certain conversations don't land anymore, in the way some rooms feel smaller than they did before, in the way your own voice sounds unfamiliar when you say things you used to say without thinking. It's not always clear when the shift happened. There wasn't necessarily a moment you can point to, a day you woke up different. It's more like turning around and realizing the landscape has changed while you were walking through it. The path looks different behind you than you remember, and the person who started walking isn't quite the same person who's standing here now. You might have tried to hold on for a while, to the routines that used to ground you, to the beliefs that used to make sense, to the ways of being that used to feel like home. And maybe they still work sometimes, in certain light, on certain days, but mostly they feel like clothes that don't fit right anymore, like words in a language you're slowly forgetting. People who knew you before might still see you as you were. They might expect you to react the way you used to react, to care about what you used to care about, to show up the way you always showed up. And sometimes you can do that, slip back into the old shape for an afternoon, for a conversation, for their comfort or yours. But it takes effort now. It doesn't come naturally the way it once did. There are things you used to want that you don't want anymore, dreams that seemed urgent and bright and necessary, and now they're just there, on a shelf somewhere in your mind, gathering dust. You don't hate them, you don't regret having wanted them, they're just not yours anymore. Not in the way they were, and that's fine. That's just what happened. You might have thought change would feel more dramatic than this, more like breaking, more like revelation, more like becoming, but it's quieter than that. It's just waking up one day and noticing you don't think about certain things the way you used to. It's realizing a relationship has shifted without either of you saying anything. It's finding that your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. The people you needed at one point in your life might not be the people you need now, not because they did anything wrong, not because you've outgrown them in some hierarchical way, but because the part of you that connected with them has changed shape. The conversations that used to fill you up might leave you feeling empty now, or just neutral, or like you're playing a part in a play you've seen too many times. You can let them go. Not with drama, not with declarations, just with the quiet recognition that some connections were meant for a season, and that season has ended. You don't have to force closeness where it's no longer natural. You don't have to explain why you're pulling back, why you're less available, why you don't call as much as you used to. Your time and your energy and your presence are yours to give, and it's okay if you're giving them differently now. There are beliefs you carried for years that don't feel true anymore. Not beliefs about big things necessarily, though maybe those too, but beliefs about who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what's possible. You built a life around some of those beliefs. You made decisions based on them, and now they're dissolving, and you're still here, standing in the space they used to occupy.
It can feel strange to lose your certainty about things you were once so sure of, to realize that the story you told yourself about your life wasn't the only story, wasn't even necessarily the true story, just the one you needed at the time. You might feel unsteady for a while, like you're learning to walk again, learning to see again, learning to be again without the old frameworks holding you in place. But you don't have to replace them right away. You don't have to build a new belief system or find a new identity or figure out who you are now. You can just be in this in-between space, this place of not knowing, of letting things settle, of allowing whatever's emerging to emerge in its own time. The things you used to do to feel like yourself might not work anymore. The rituals, the habits, the small daily practices that used to anchor you. Maybe you used to write every morning, or run, or call a certain friend, or spend Sunday afternoons a particular way. And maybe you still do those things sometimes, but they don't carry the same weight. They're just actions now, not identity, not proof of who you are. You're allowed to stop doing things that no longer serve you, even if they served you deeply once, even if they were part of how you understood yourself, even if other people associate you with them. You're not required to keep being the person who does that thing, who shows up that way, who maintains that version of yourself for the sake of continuity. There might be parts of your past that feel almost like they belonged to someone else. Choices you made, relationships you were in, jobs you had, places you lived. You can remember them, you can acknowledge they happened, but you can't quite locate yourself in them anymore. The woman who did those things, who wanted those things, who believed those things, she's still you in some way, but she's also not you, not anymore, not completely. This isn't about rejecting where you've been. It's not about deciding your past was wrong or wasted or misguided. It's just about recognizing that you've moved, that life has moved you, that the current has carried you to different water, and you're not the same as you were upstream. You might feel guilty sometimes about the changing, about not being who people expected you to be, who you expected yourself to be, about letting go of commitments you made when you were someone else, about walking away from things you thought you'd want forever. But guilt assumes you had more control than you did, assumes you chose this in some deliberate way, and mostly you didn't. Mostly it just happened, the way leaves change color, the way seasons turn. The ways you used to comfort yourself might not comfort you now. The things you used to reach for when you were sad or scared or lonely, they might not work the same way. You might find yourself needing different things, softer things, or harder things, or just completely other things. Your needs have changed because you've changed, and you're allowed to meet yourself where you actually are, not where you used to be. There are roles you played that you're not playing anymore. Daughter in a certain way, friend in a certain way, partner in a certain way, worker in a certain way. The scripts you followed, the expectations you met, the personas you put on, some of them have fallen away. And in the space they left, there's just you, without the performance, without the trying, without the shape you thought you had to hold. It might feel vulnerable to be seen without those roles, without those identities, like you're exposed somehow, like people can see you don't have it all figured out, like they can tell you're different and you can't quite explain how or why. But most people are too busy with their own changes to notice yours as much as you think they do. And the ones who do notice, the ones who really see you, they're usually okay with it. They're usually changing too. You don't owe anyone the version of you they're most comfortable with. You don't have to freeze yourself in time so other people can keep relating to you the way they always have. You're allowed to be in motion, to be uncertain, to be becoming something you can't name yet. You're allowed to take up different space, to speak differently, to want different things, to need different things. The life you thought you'd have might not be the life you're living. The timeline you imagined might not be the timeline you're on. The milestones you expected to hit might have passed without you reaching them, or you might have reached them and found they meant less than you thought they would. And that's not failure. That's just the difference between imagination and reality, between who you thought you'd be and who you actually are. You can stop waiting for your life to look a certain way before you allow yourself to be okay. You can stop holding your breath until you become the person you think you're supposed to become. You're already here. You're already living. This is already your life, this moment, this body, this confusion, this clarity, this strange middle ground between who you were and who you might be. There are questions you used to ask yourself that you're not asking anymore. Questions about purpose, about meaning, about whether you're doing it right. Not because you've found the answers, but because the questions themselves have changed, or they've become less urgent, or you've realized they were never really yours to begin with. They were questions you inherited, questions the world told you to ask, and now you're letting them go, letting them drift away like clouds. The urgency you used to feel about certain things has faded. The pressure to figure it all out, to make the right choices, to become someone impressive, to prove something. It's still there sometimes, that pressure, but it's quieter now. It doesn't drive you the way it used to. You can feel it and not obey it. You can acknowledge it and keep moving at your own pace. You're not in a hurry to arrive anywhere. You're not racing towards some finish line of self-actualization or enlightenment or having it all together. You're just here, in the middle of your life, changed and changing, holding what's real and releasing what's not. And that's enough. That's everything, really. The mornings feel different now. Not better or worse, just different. You wake up and you're not the same person who went to sleep, not quite, and you're not the person you were last year or 5 years ago or when you were young. You're this person, the one who is here right now, and she's enough, even if she doesn't feel finished, even if she doesn't feel sure. You might look in the mirror and see someone familiar and strange at the same time. The features are the same, mostly, but something in the eyes is different, something in the way you hold your face, the way you stand. You're recognizable and unrecognizable, and both of those things are true at once.
There are conversations you don't have the energy for anymore, explanations you don't want to give, justifications you don't want to make, defenses you don't want to mount. You're tired of explaining yourself, tired of making your changes palatable, tired of reassuring people that you're still you. You are still you. You're just not the you they're thinking of. The things that used to scare you might not scare you anymore, and things you never thought about might terrify you now. Your fears have rearranged themselves along with everything else. What you're willing to risk has changed. What you're willing to tolerate has changed. What you need to feel safe has changed. You can trust this, the changing, the letting go, the not knowing. You can trust that you're not broken, not lost, not doing it wrong. You're just in motion, the way all living things are in motion, the way the earth is always turning, even when it feels like standing still. The people who love you, really love you, they'll find you here, in this new configuration. They'll adjust, or they won't, but that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to keep being honest, keep being real, keep letting yourself change as you need to change. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to make it official. You can just be different, quietly, in the small choices you make, in the way you spend your time, in what you say yes to and what you say no to. You can just live from this new place and see what happens. The story of your life isn't over. It's not even close to over. You're just in a different chapter now, and the character has evolved, and that's how stories work. People change, circumstances change, what matters changes, and the story keeps going, keeps unfolding, keeps surprising you with where it goes. You're not the same, and you don't have to be. The world will adjust to who you are now, or it won't, but either way, you get to keep being this person, this version, this iteration of yourself that's here, right now, breathing, existing, allowing what was to fall away and what is to simply be.